How many times has momentum shifted in the last over of the first innings of a 2020 match? 22 runs at the bat of Sam Curran to give him his maiden IPL 50, and unbeaten 55 of just 24 balls. Thereafter, he was dropped on 17 by Rinku Singh. It gives Punjab 183 runs to play with. Nicholas Pooran with the runs as well on a day where Chris Gale and KL Rahul didn't do the job. It's quite pleasing for R. Ashwin that he still managed to get 180 plus on the board at half-time on ESPN Cricinfo Match Day T20. Murali Karthik and Dan Vettori. Dan, if you were fighting to stay alive in the competition, would you be happy with 183?
I'd be very happy. I think they didn't expect that from the position the openers gave them. I know they put a lot of onus on KL and Chris Gale, and they were out cheaply. But to see Nicholas Pooran in particular, I like the way he played. I haven't seen a huge amount of him, but to come out there with that aggressive nature, to take the game on, and then to hand it over to Sam Curran. And I think, whilst we all think Sam Curran's a really good player, I think that's an innings that not many people thought he had in him. So 50 odd off 20 odd balls was amazing, and it's really set up a fantastic total.
Yeah, good on him, because we were wondering whether the David Miller selection was a good one or not, and then this sort of performance comes in. Gale and Rahul not amongst the runs, and runs from Pooran and Curran.
We've been quite a confused lot, because we thought Prabh Simran was playing, whereas Mandeep was playing. So no, absolutely. I think after Gale and Rahul went, the way Nicholas Pooran took charge was just refreshing, because yes, he's got the shots, but sometimes you always wonder, people tend to take a back seat, tend to just play themselves in. I thought he just took the attack to the opposition.
Okay, your questions and comments will be put through to Murali Karthik and Dan Vettori. There's questions on both captains actually, but it's nice. I mean, I think you've already had enough on Sam Curran and Nicholas Pooran, is it? But put it through, and I'll take it too. Crispin Gerard says, did Rinku Singh drop the match now? Little things, but when you're looking for survival, clinical...
That'll be known only at the end of the game.
Yes.
Whether Rinku Singh dropped and how many people are going to have a go at him. If KK are not able to overhaul this target, but definitely he's a good fielder. The problem is that it's never an easy catching ground, Mohali. I thought Sandeep Warrior took an excellent catch in the beginning of Chris Gale.
Yes.
And I think it's just tough catching. There's some good fielders have dropped catches.
Okay, Chirag Agarwal, why is DK furious? I mean, what is he furious about? I think you're referring to that strategic timeout when he was having a go at some of the players in a huddle. Is KK I don't seem to, they don't have much of a chance if the team spirit looks like that. Dan, any reading in between the lines?
I think DK is always fairly animated, but it looked like it had an aggressive slant to it. Well, it was obvious that it had an aggressive slant to it. So I think he's obviously on the back of getting KL and Chris Gale out so early, then to relinquish a bit of that momentum. That was probably the frustrating thing from a captain. And I've been on the receiving end of a few of those conversations, and it's normally about the lack of energy in the field.
You remember the captains?
All of them. In terms of a team, I think the lack of energy in the field and not capitalising on things.
Ashish is saying captaincy doesn't seem to go with Dinesh Karthik. You can't demoralise your teammates. After all, there are international superstars in your team.
No, I don't think so. I think it looks rosy when you're sitting out and then you expect everybody should just do their job. That's what you expect, but sometimes it doesn't happen. And every now and then you need a rocket coming from somewhere. If people aren't shaping up, then you need to hear that dressing down. It could be the coach, it could be the captain. And this time around, as Dan said, after getting those 2 wickets, if he sees a lackadaisical approach to the game when it's a must-win game, I think he's well within his right as a captain to give whatever rocket that needs to be given.
All right. Jessica Joseph for Dan says, is Ashwin the best captain in the IPL?
I suppose it's how you quantify it. I think there's lots of good captains going around. I think last year most people were saying Kane Williamson was the best because of the way he'd driven Sunrisers throughout there. I think MS, probably you put him up for that title most tournaments. So I think it's tough to say that anyone's the best captain. I think you can have a good day as a captain and you can have an average day as a captain. And also a lot of the times you're only as good as those bowlers that you give the ball to. So I think bowlers really make captains, and I think any good captain will be the first to admit that.
Yep. Neeraj Pathak for Karthik. What's your thought on including Uthappa again? He seems like a lost batsman in Neeraj's words.
I suppose you just wonder if it does the same trick as what it did to Manish Pandey. As a senior batsman, you're aware of what is expected of you. One stage, you were thought of as a captain when it was given to Dinesh Karthik, and as a senior batsman, you take the onus even without someone giving it to you that I am a senior batsman and I need to do a few things. And I think that was missing for whatever reason. I've got no idea. Sometimes you're out of form, but for me, the most important thing or the glaring thing was the lack of intent shown in a few games. So the fact that he was dropped and asked to carry drinks, does it change it? Does he come back a different player? Hopefully, it does the same thing as what it did to Manish Pandey.
Pratik Guragai, your favourite, says, should KKR now open with Narayan, looking at the score that they have to get, and try and take the game in the power play itself? I'll let both of you have a crack at that.
Well, I think Shubman Gill is the right option because of what he did in the last game. So there's no reason to change that. It worked as a successful selection, so they would want to keep going with it. And I think particularly with the fast bowling attack that more than likely Kings 11 will start with, they'll want someone of the class of Gill and Lynn to open up, and then maybe you can use Narayan against Ashwin through those middle stages, Ashwin I'm talking about. So I think they'll stick with the status quo, even though they'll be probably feeling a little bit in the dressing room after the way they finished, and they may make some changes, but I would assume they'd stick with what they know.
Have a crack at that.
Yeah, I think I completely agree with Dan. When he's good enough and capable enough to bat the way someone else can bat, Chris Lynn, we know how dangerous he can be, especially on a track like this, which does come onto the bat. And again, there are some questions from the Kings 11 seam point of view, unless and until they decide, Ashwin decides that I'm going to start off. That'd be a completely different scenario, but I would stick with the same.
I think Lynn will come out incredibly aggressive today as well with this score, this wicket.
Yeah, you know
their types of bowlers.
Yeah.
Possibly the last game of the season, or second to last game of the
Okay,
season.
lots of questions coming on how do you get Andre Russell out and what do Kings 11 Punjab do for him? Shishir Karthik, who in the Kings 11 lineup could stop Andre? Will it be spin or pace bowling that could be the X factor with him?
I don't. He can get out to anybody. He could come and hold up the first shot which he hits. But we did speak about this in the pre-show that there are things which you need to do to him. The kind of form he is in, obviously everybody knows that he's going to come and he's in the prime of his hitting ability. As I said before, the kind of fields you have, and can't be predictable to Andre Russell. You need to have a kind of field which keeps him guessing. And then with the square boundaries, the fast bowlers definitely need to try that out. If you bowl it into his half, it is going to break one of the walls on either side.
Okay, I know this is slightly moving from topic and it's a World Cup related question, but since it's come for Dan Vettori, Dan, after all the batsmen that you've seen, who do you think should bat at number 4 for India in the World Cup? Thoughts on KL Rahul, asks Aldrin D'Souza, who of course featured today, perhaps ahead of Vijay Shankar, whose poor form in the IPL seems to continue.
I've got a soft spot for Vijay Shankar for some reason. I think without Raidu there, I think he offers some balance, and it may not be that he actually bats 4. He may be listed at 4, and then India makes some calls on the day with Dhoni and Kedar Yadav, whether they can jump into those spots. So I think he's the right player to give an overall balance to the team. But if you're going for an out-and-out batsman, then KL Rahul is obviously a class player, and they may look to mix and match with their batting order. Virat even may drop down to 4 to give them some balance. So look, I think they'll be look for the ultimate team combination rather than just someone to bat at 4.
Aldrin wants to know also if Russell should possibly bat at 3 or 4, given that KKR are also in search of not just a win but good run rate. He has made a strong case for himself to bat higher, and he delivered last game.
Yeah, he did, and I heard what Dan had to say yesterday, that possibly after the 6th or the 7th over, for me, even if he comes at the halfway stage, say at the end of 10th over, if a wicket falls or something, if there is Andre Russell, then he's capable enough to win you the game. So yeah, there are others who have done well. So they've also been going at a good rate, like people like Nitish Rana, who was one of the reasons why they got off to that great start for me. Nitish Rana, the way he batted in the initial games, and then now he's been shunted down the order.
Yeah.
So yeah, depends on the situation more than just the number.
Adil Amin says, Vettori was never passionate when he got a wicket, always so calm and cool. Any reason for that?
I think you can find videos of me highly animated and embarrassing myself. So I tried to hold together most of the time, but it didn't always work.
Okay, Satish Swaminathan wants to know by how much do Kings 11 need to win to make the playoffs? They've got the worst run rate amongst all the teams that are contesting to finish on 14 points. What they need is to firstly win both games today against KKR as well as the last game against Chennai in Mohali. So if they win that, when they look at other results, maybe net run rate won't come into it. But if it does, it's not looking good. We've got a full detailed piece on ESPN Cricinfo about scenarios and what sort of margins all the teams involved in this rat race for the fourth spot need to do too. So just check that out. Right, players already on their way out. Predictions, gentlemen? Kolkata, Punjab. Karthik?
Nah, none.
No predictions.
Super over.
Oh, what's the worst that
I'm
could happen?
sitting. I'm sitting.
Sitting on the fence. Why do you like sitting on the fence?
No, I don't. I
don't-
don't know. I've given.
But today
straight
you're not
answers.
getting that gut, is
No,
it?
I'm not. I don't know what to say right now. 183 is good, but
They could
given
be
the way
more.
Punjab have bowled, so it's a bit touch and go for me.
Danny?
I want to say KKR, but I think with that score they posted, like Kartik mentioned, 183 is just such a competitive score.
Yep.
They've played well in Mohali, so probably it's advantage to Kings 11 at this stage.
Very well. Thank you, Dan Vettori. Thank you, Murli. Karthik. Get their thoughts at the end of the game. Kings 11 are fighting for survival in the tournament. KKR themselves are going to try and reach to 14 points. The runs are on the board. This is one of the best chasing teams in the IPL. Sets up things nicely for a fascinating run chase. We'll recap it all on ESPN Cricinfo Match Day T20.